I hope this looks good. All right, buddy. Welcome in. Latest episode of that SEC podcast brought to you by Twisted Tea and My Bookie. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And I'm joined as always by my cousin Shane, who goes by Big Orange Vols on Twitter. What's up, you old sick bastard?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Let's get a close-up there.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I am finally, I think, out of the woods. I don't know, Mike. You know, we're going to find out here in about 2 to 3 days if you come down with it. But no, I'm feeling a lot better. Drugs are kicking in, starting to drink my cold beers. So I'm back in it. And I'll tell you, brother, perfect timing because I think I'm putting these scores together, Mike. And I said this last week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I kind of went round and round with a few of these scores, and we ended up having some great football games. But as I'm going through these as well, there are several games on the docket this weekend that I can see something going wrong for some of these teams and something going right. I think this is the weekend, Mike. We may have some upsets.
I certainly hope so, Shane. I'm upset that I showed up late, but it is what it is. We're here. Mm-hmm. We've got nothing but SEC action, Shane. I am so excited. I'm ready to get into it. But before we get to that, real quick here, Shane. Finally, if I can find it, I have finally done it. I've been doing this. Yes, I found it. I've been doing this for weeks, Shane. I don't know if people noticed, but I've been throwing up these Twitter polls on who's going to win. And then I just forget to reference it on the show. I mean, that's the whole point of it. I wanted to see what the fans are voting. But so before we get to our picks, this is just exclusively what our listeners on social media. I put it out. You know, Ole Miss at Georgia. Who wins? And there's just a poll.
No spread, no nothing.
Nothing. Just who's winning the game. So I just want to throw this out. This is the listener poll. Georgia hosting Ole Miss. 68% say Georgia is going to win. So a little over 31% Ole Miss. Tennessee at Missouri. 57%. How about you guess? Who do you think 57% of the listeners think is going to win?
Well, that's Tennessee homers. I'm going to say Tennessee.
Exactly. Yeah. So 57% Tennessee, 42% Mizzou. Alabama at Kentucky. 83%.
Bama.
Yep, of course, Kentucky, so 16.5. LSU hosting Florida. Florida at LSU. 89% picked.
LSU.
Yep, so 11% for Florida. Arkansas hosting Auburn. 52% picked.
Arkansas?
Bingo. Hey, you're good. You're too good, Shade. A&M,
I know our fans.
Yeah. A&M hosting Mississippi State. 86%.
A&M.
A&M. And then Vanderbilt at South Carolina, 68% pick.
Easy, Vanderbilt. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm going easy on them.
Yeah, no,
they may have tuned out by now. Both of them.
So that's just those are the fan picks. I just wanted to throw those out there, Shane. We got a lot of people in here. They're saying it looks like they thought we were late because you were passed out from the medication and all that. So I just thought that was pretty good.
That's right, man. Yeah, they got me all doped up, man. So hopefully I'll knock all this stuff out. But
how are you feeling? That's what they're asking here.
Yeah, no. I'm feeling good. And it was crazy. It's just my whole household got it, you know. Right. Apparently this thing's going around quite a bit, so just be careful out there. Don't be drinking after anybody. But
I'm double checking my drink over here. Like, did you touch this?
No.
Put it all the way over here.
Yeah. So it's not the COVIDs or anything, but it's that strep throat, and I've never had that ever in my entire life. I mean, as far as I know.
Right.
And I thought that was like a kid. You know, kids get it. Of course, maybe my kid did get it. You know.
A lot of comments here, Shane, about the professor.
Oh, he's back.
Now we don't want to know just yet. We're not got to the picks. We're about to get to it, but. How much time and consideration went into the professor's lock of the week?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike, and quite a bit this week. And I went round and round. There was a couple games. I narrowed it down to about 2 games coming into this week. Ooh. And about Tuesday, Wednesday, I started feeling really good about one particular team. And in fact, I've got a meme queued up. I'm going to send it to your phone. So when we get to that game, we'll get to see who's the lucky who's the lucky participant this week in the old lock for cousin Shane, Professor Shane.
Yep.
Smart Shane, not the dumb Shane.
All right, so we're going to get to that in just a second, Shane, but we got to remind the audience, one of our proud sponsors, PrizePicks. Head on over to PrizePicks.com. This is daily fantasy sports, and not only obviously college football, it's why we love PrizePicks, but NFL, NBA, all the other sports, they got you covered at PrizePicks. And with the promo code SEC, very simple, SEC, if you sign up for a new account at PrizePicks, they'll match your initial deposit all the way up to $100. So you could have $200 in your account today with that promo code SEC. And speaking of the PrizePicks, Shane, are you ready for my PrizePicks selections of the week?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So I'm trying not to tip my hand with these, so kind of went back and forth on some of them. But
Okay.
Cody Schrader.
Yeah.
Mizzou, outstanding runner. He leads the SEC in rushing. I've been doubting him every week. I've been wrong every week. I'm going to keep doubting him. Shane, come on. Under 91.5 rushing yards. And before you answer, realize that Tennessee they've played 8 games against FBS teams, and they've held 6 of them to under 100 rushing. So I'm feeling pretty good about Cody Schrader under 92 rushing yards. What's your thoughts on that?
That's a tough one, man, because, I mean, look what he did against Georgia Bulldogs. I said the same thing. I said, hey, he's clearly going to be running quite a bit during this game, and most likely to the left side of the line of scrimmage. I think even our boy from Georgia told us that, to look at that interesting stat. But still, they handed him the rock, and he managed to get yards here. So, number 1 leading rusher in the SEC. It's tough to bottle him up, but that's a lot of yards, Mike. And I would think Tennessee is going to do what they've done through a few games, and that's sell out to that run.
Nema's asking over under 2.5 times Mike's interrupts the professor.
It's definitely over. Definitely over. I'm going to start drinking out of his glass here in a minute. Because he's done moved it all the way to the opposite end of the table where I can't reach it.
All right, how about this one, Shane? Quinshawn Judkins, outstanding Ole Miss running back, over 71.5 rushing yards at Georgia. I know it's Georgia, but I think Judkins gets going at least to 72 rushing yards, and I got double whammy here. You can double up. That's another thing I love about PrizePicks. You can do multiple selections, multiply your winnings as well. Over half a rushing touchdown. Judkins, he's I think he's like 3rd or 4th in the SEC right now in rushing touchdowns. He's only played most of the season, but he's been banged up. So give me Judkins over 71.5 rushing, over half a rushing touchdown. Thoughts on that?
That just sounds like an entertaining game, Mike. That's what that sounds like. I get it. He's fired up. He's looking good. And I'm with you on that one. I don't think you can go wrong with that one.
Now, before they...
Kind of surprised the number's that low, though.
Right? Well, me too. Now, before they jump on me, Shane, and say, well, what the hell? You jumping all over Mizzou? Over. Brady Cook, 1.5 passing touchdowns. I'm going over. I think he gets 2 on them Tennessee Vols.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Mike. I think that especially, I don't know, you say this, and then I'm trying to pick your score. You know what I'm saying? You're like, all right, so we're not going to run that well, but we're going to pass well. That's not
I'm trying
good.
to throw you off is what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're dodging and weaving here, but 1.5, with these weapons that they've got, absolutely. With the way Tennessee secondary's been playing here the last couple of weeks, that seems like the best bet that you've got on the board right now.
Now, one more, final one. I went heavy on this one because I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about this one. Now, you're saying, I picked 2 Mizzou guys. What the hell? Why didn't I pick a Tennessee guy?
Yeah.
Jalen Wright, outstanding Tennessee running back, over half a rushing touchdown. I think he gets 1 too. Thoughts on that?
No, I like that. And this is one of the interesting stats that are floating around. Everybody's quick to point out who the number 1 rusher is, but they're also quick to point out how many less attempts Wright has had.
Right.
So, and I'm not saying that these are the 2 best running backs in the SEC because we've got some dudes, but this is the one that I keep seeing online, and these guys take it personal. They run hard, so I like that. Give me a touchdown for Wright.
All right, so are you ready, brother, to get in? We got 7 SEC matchups to get into. Are you ready to make your picks?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All right, first one, right? And here's what we typically do. If you're new, probably if you're listening to this, you already know, but I like to go in order of the kickoffs mostly, but I save the game of the week to the very end. So Let's go in order of the kickoffs again, Shane. We're going to go Alabama, number 8 Alabama on the road at Kentucky. Alabama favored by 11 points in Lexington. The over-under is 46 total points. Game kicks off at noon Eastern, 11 o'clock Central on ESPN, right after College Game Day. These two, they don't play that often.
Yeah.
But when they do, Alabama, they're 38-2 over Kentucky. So they've won their fair share. Last time they played, Shane, 2020, the COVID year, Alabama won 63-3. Who you got in the ball game, my friend?
Oh, Mike, this one I think is going to be a really good game. I mean, the fact that Vegas only thinks there's 11 points spread here tells you that, hey, that's almost a one-possession game. And I don't think any Alabama fan is expecting that right now. I think Kentucky fans are looking at this game as the championship for them. And I'm not saying they're going to get any kind of accolades or crowns after this thing, but you know, the progression that Kentucky has made the last 2 weeks, I think is phenomenal. The fact that Leary is coming back, you know, he is playing, correct? That is confirmed.
Yeah, and he's got more passing yards than Jalen Milroe.
Again, it's a good, interesting stat, but I think the best part is the fact that Leary is taking that step forward and looking the part. You know, the part that we thought was going to happen week 1, he's finally starting to stretch his legs and go. And I think this was what makes Kentucky a little bit dangerous. It's at noon. It's at home. There's an opportunity for Bama to overlook this one. I mean, this is picture-perfect trap game scenario here. Don't be surprised if this thing is not tied or even Kentucky has a lead throughout part of this game. Hell, don't be surprised if there is a miracle up there in the Bluegrass State, because Kentucky has the pieces to go toe-to-toe with some of these programs, and unfortunately, in weeks past, they've stumbled somewhere. So maybe they put the game together and in all facets and all aspects, but it's just tough for me to predict that upset, Mike, because the way Alabama has been playing here, I can't talk how good one is without mentioning the other one. You know, this quote-unquote decaying dynasty the first few weeks of the season has turned over a new leaf. Last week, they played phenomenal. The week before, they played phenomenal. Jalen is on a new level right now. But don't be surprised if it's a little sluggish. Florida you remember the last time noon game, it was Florida, you know, it was just an ass kicking, and Kentucky took it to them. So the Wildcats can't get up early and get often. So, but I'm not going to drag this one out, Mike, but I think this game's a lot closer than people think it will be.
Wow.
I've got Alabama squeaking by 31, Kentucky 27.
Ooh, baby. Now that's a ball game right
4
there. If
points.
that's what it is.
I feel like it's going to be a close game. Am I wrong?
Why do you hate Alabama?
I don't hate Alabama. I love the way they're playing right now. And
Bluegrass Miracle 2.0.
Well, let's not forget what happened in the Bluegrass Miracle. You know, I mean, so maybe that's not the reference we want to use here.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, no, I like a lot of what you said. You know, it's funny. I mentioned Leary's stats because I threw up the graphic with their combined stats, and then someone in the comments said, "Yeah, Devin Leary also got minus 22 rushing yards on the season." So yeah, I mean, it's a completely different beast there. We got one guy that's coming for the potentially a Heisman run in Jalen Milroe if they keep winning, and we got one guy putting some good games together, and we're saying, okay, maybe this is where all that hype was that we've been missing for 7 weeks of the season, you know. So, but I think being in Kentucky, I mean, this is, you know, someone asked us yesterday on the Mailbag Show if Kentucky can get this win, Shane, does it make it a winning season? We said, 8. Well, no, they said they're totally looking over it. They're saying, well, yeah, we're going to lose this one. What if we win out, though? This is a good season, right? I mean, we're giving no respect to Kentucky, even diehard Kentucky fans.
Yeah.
They're just hoping and praying no one gets hurt and everybody has a good time and, you know, let's get out of this and rest up. But I think Mark Stoops and company, they're looking at it completely different, Shane. They're saying, we have struggled, but we just got a much-needed win. And if we can shock the world, nationally televised, right after College Game Day, there's going to be so many eyes on this football game. Alabama's getting hot. Oh, yeah, that's nice. If we can take down Nick Saban, we can dethrone the King of Kings all of a sudden the nation's talking about Kentucky. We got Ray Davis, don't forget. He's starting to fall off a little bit, but he's still second in the SEC in rushing. You're right. Devin Leary's heating up. We got Dane Key. We got Barian Brown. We got Tavian Robinson. We got weapons to challenge Alabama with. The defense is criminally underrated up there. So it's not the defense's fault that Kentucky's lost a couple games. It's mostly the offense, So they got the pieces, Shane, and I'm right there. I mean, you talk about Alabama hate. Come on now. Come on. Alabama going to win the national championship. You seeing all this? Alabama's going to win the West. If they win this game, they win the West. So they might even be looking right past Kentucky, already looking at them Georgia Bulldogs in Atlanta, and that might catch up to them, Shane. You're right. Decaying dynasty, as you coined it, made you look like a fool. But, man.
He's got an Aubie tattoo on his chest, That's how bad he hates Alabama.
I think you're dead wrong, Shane. Dead wrong about this one. Give me Kentucky 20. Alabama 38. They're going to whoop them up. Come on. This is a 18-point ball game on the road. Alabama covers these. I think there's something wrong with this spread. They're begging you to take out. I don't know why. Maybe because it is a 4-quarter ball game, but just because they beat Mississippi State, I can't get on board with that. I think Alabama's heating up.
Yeah.
And this is their opportunity to clinch the West. I think they take full advantage. I think they smoke Kentucky.
See, I don't know if it's Vegas. I don't know if it's all this fine Kentucky bourbon or what. I don't know. I'm kind of getting sucked back into it. And just because, again, trap game scenario. And I'm not saying Bama loses this thing, but I just don't think they blow them out here. I think Kentucky does the job keeping it close. And this is it, man. I mean, what if this is the biggest upset of the weekend? You never know.
Right.
But we'll be talking about it for years to come, You know
what we won't be talking about for years to come, Shane, and that is Vanderbilt at South Carolina. I don't even think I made a little graphic for this bad boy.
Oh, geez.
The Gamecocks favored by 14 at home, over under 58 total points. Noon Eastern on SEC Network, 11 Central. I always forget, Shane, this is one hell of a lopsided series. Yeah. South Carolina, 28-4 over Vanderbilt. My goodness, they've won 14 in a row. It's the longest streak in the series. I'm calling the JP Sports Game of the Week. You remember old JP? That's what this is. Who you got this one?
This is it, and they're awesome displays and graphics. No.
Shouldn't they do that once a year, do JP Game of the Year?
Why not? Yeah,
have some fun.
I think it would be great. And in fact, back in the day, this game may have been blacked out. You couldn't even watch it, pay-per-view, But I joke because, I'm trying to find the silver lining in this game. And, South Carolina, as ugly as it was, got a win last week, and they're building off of it. I think Beamer's trying to say the right things. He just keeps getting in his own way. And, South Carolina, they need some momentum. And especially with the way this season is going to end, they are fighting for their lives. They're fighting for a bowl. It's still floating out there. You can't take your foot off the gas. And the problem with Vanderbilt is Vanderbilt can score. They just haven't here the last couple of weeks. I don't know what the I feel
Ken Seals is the quarterback this week.
Yeah. So obviously we're going to get a little bit better quarterback play there. Vanderbilt can put points up. They do got some weapons. And South Carolina still doesn't have a defense. That's not getting corrected this weekend. So don't be afraid. Don't be as surprised if you see Vanderbilt put up 21, 28 points, and I just think South Carolina has too much firepower to let this be a ball game. So another big win for Beamer and company, but I just don't know about the spread there, Mike. I'm going to say Vanderbilt sneaks back into this thing. Give me South Carolina 38, Vandy 28.
Oh, baby.
A lot of points.
10-point. I mean, we even got people in the comments, Shane, they're saying, if they lose this game, is Beamer getting fired? Ugh. I mean, he's not, but I mean, the fact that they're even suggesting that. Do you remember when we were at Tennessee Ole Miss a few years back, and the South Carolina Vanderbilt game came over the loudspeaker, and I want to say Vandy was winning or it was tied, It almost feels like this could be one of those games against South Carolina. I felt like they were overlooking Jackson State, but
I think that would help them in this one, not overlooking Vanderbilt. But the only thing Vanderbilt's really been missing is quarterback play. Since Swan's been out, Ken came in, and he was able to move the ball against, was it Georgia, I believe, or was it Florida? He's came in, and he's able to do that. So I just think that's going to be one of those games, a little bit interesting. No defense at all on either side, and I just think South Carolina's got too much.
Yeah. No, I think you're exactly right. But I got some stats here for you, Shane. These are efficiency numbers, so not just yards or anything like that. I think efficiency gives you a lot more accurate gauge of who these teams really are. It factors in who you're playing and things of that nature. Vandy, rush offense, 111th in the country. South Carolina rush defense, 92 in the country. So week on week. South Carolina rush offense, 97 in the country. Vandy rush defense, 108 in the country. So I don't know what to take here, Shane. I really don't. But and by the way, they're pass defenses. Vandy 114th, South Carolina 116th.
Yeah.
So they can't stop a lick. They can't run the ball either. But what can South Carolina do? They got one hell of a quarterback in Spencer Rattler. They got one hell of a receiver in Xavier Legette, who's not even healthy, and he's still beast mode out here. All season, these guys have been a difference. Yeah. And without them, there's one. I'm trying to think. Let me pull up the schedule here. There's one team they would have walked over without these guys. It was Furman.
Yeah.
But beyond that, they lost every damn game. If not for Spencer Rattler and Xavier Legette, I think they're big in this game as well. I'm right there with you. I don't have it near as close as you though, but I actually like South Carolina and I like the spread. So give me. We both got the Gamecocks 38. But I got Vanderbilt 23. So I got it a 15-point game. Okay. Just barely covering the spread. This is a get-right game.
Yeah.
And South Carolina still's got bowl hopes.
Yeah.
If they look really bad in this one, though, I don't know, man. It's going to make for a long week.
I think that's what this team wants to avoid. I know there was a lot of celebration. That was the talk after last week's game. Shane Beamer coming out and making those comments over and over again that he's not going to apologize for a win, but he won't have to if they can come out here and lay 3 or 4 scores on Vandy, But if they keep it close, it's going to be the same old, and then we're going to go into these next couple of weeks saying there's a real shot that they don't make a bowl game now, Right. So nobody they want to forget October. This is a new month. Keep winning. People remember what you do in November.
Slim says Vanderbilt's using a chalkboard as their scoreboard at their stadium. That's what I'm dying over here. All right, how about this one, Shane? The fans they're dying for this one.
Yeah.
3:30 Eastern, SEC, CBS, Tennessee, number 13 Tennessee at number 14 Missouri. The Vols favored by 1.5 on the road. Over/unders 58.5 points. Again, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central on CBS. Tennessee has flipped it. They lead the series now 6-5. Missouri's been leading it for a while now, but Tennessee's won 4 in a row. And last year they won 66-24. It was Josh Heupel's biggest win as a head coach. Who do you like in the ball game?
Oh, Mike, I like them both. They don't do ties anymore. I don't think that's even possible now. So, but brother, this one's near and dear to me because I told you at the start of the season, I felt like Mizzou was going to have a hell of a year, possibly 10 wins. And if you recall those 2 losses, I said it will be Georgia and it'll either be LSU or Tennessee. Well, they lost to LSU.
Yep.
So you're thinking, well, Tennessee, they may get the win here. When I look at Mizzou, what I love about this team is the balanced offense attack. We talked about Schrader leading the country in rushing. We're talking about the receivers that have stepped up. I think not just the obvious burden here, but you got Weiss just came in, Mookie. They all look good. They're all producing. Cooks is cooking, man. I mean, he is not only a accurate quarterback, but a very mobile quarterback. A lot of people don't get to talk about his legs. They got the perfect offense. Their defense, is suspect at times, but really here of late has come together and has made the opposing team, one-dimensional sometimes, which I don't think Tennessee can afford that. because we've seen games, Florida Gators is particular. If you cannot run or throw, you're going to get shut down. And Tennessee, the reason they've been so successful here lately is just how balanced they've become. The confidence of Joe Milton has grown and grown each week, and you're starting to see a little bit more of that connection with the receivers down the field. I think that's important because you're going to get a very, very confident Tennessee Volunteer team, and you're going to get a very, very confident Mizzou team this weekend, which is going to make for an epic showdown, Mike. That's why Vegas has this one so damn close, because even they don't know who's going to win it. Even I don't really know who's going to win it, but I've got to pick one, Mike. So as I'm playing this scenario in my mind, I expect a shootout. I expect a lot of points in this game, and I think it's going to come down to the last possession. And Missouri is going to get that final score, Mike. But they're going to fail on the 2-point conversion. Give me Tennessee 35, Mizzou 34. Morristown Honda, baby. Oh, man, brother. I swear, I'm worried about this one. As a diehard Vol homer, I worry about this one because I've watched Missouri more than I've watched any other SEC team this year. And one thing that I've noticed is that if they play their cards right, they can tear this segment. They cannot do Tennessee cannot do what they did Texas A&M. Texas A&M, they sold out to the run because they just had no confidence that this passing attack is going to do anything. So if they do that with Mizzou, they're going to eat them apart. And I think that's the key. The pivotal part of this weekend's matchup will not be the offense. It will be the defense. Does Tennessee's defense come together, especially that secondary? They made that adjustment last week, but it was UConn. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The first few drives, UConn could do anything and everything they wanted to in the secondary. Well, you play that way, Mizzou's going to stomp your ass. But I just feel like they are not going to be able – I think they take a big step this week, Mike. And like I said, I feel like this is going to come down to the absolute wire, and it would not blow my mind if Mizzou wins this game. But Tennessee is still fighting. It's a long, long shot, but they're fighting for an SEC championship opportunity here. And to do that, they've got to win this week. Maybe a little letdown on Mizzou's side.
Oh, they're pissed, Shane.
Of course they are. Of course
they're calling you a homer now. Homer pick.
Oh, yeah.
How about this stat, though, Shane? You might be right. Josh Heupel is 6-2 when the spread is 3 points or less. That's pretty damn good. And not only that, Shane, is he 6-2 in those games.
Yeah.
Average margin of victory is 19 points in spreads 3 points or less, including last year at LSU. I mean, that was supposed to be a nail biter. They blew him off a damn field. A lot going into this one, Shane. Joe Milton, he's got a touchdown pass in 13 consecutive games. That's the third longest streak in Tennessee history.
Yeah.
For all the hell he takes. He's been pretty effective. Tennessee, we talked about it, number one rushing offense in the SEC, number one stopping the run in the SEC. Cody Schrader, number one, 919 yards, number one in rushing. And this has a feel to me, Shane, where Mizzou's receivers are going to be a big-time mismatch for Tennessee. I don't think they have any answer for Luther Burden, Theo Weiss, Mookie Cooper, all this. They even got he's young, but they got a good tight end, Nort Fleet. I mean, he's solid. So I think Brady Cook, man, let Brady cook. And one thing, you kind of hit on it there, but just go back to as long as you can remember being a Tennessee fan. What kind of quarterback just kills them balls?
Mobile.
And he's mobile as could be. You know what? I've seen Brady Cook take over games, Shane. I really have with his legs. It makes me think it might happen, Shane.
Yeah.
Sell out 4 in a row. One thing that's got me thinking it won't, though.
Yeah.
Mizzou run defense, Shane, against Kansas State, they gave up 138 rushing yards. Against LSU, 274. Kentucky, 181. They stopped South Carolina 69. South Carolina can't run on anybody. And then Georgia last week, 131. If that trend continues, Tennessee's going to run all over their ass.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think this is back and forth. I think the winners getting to 10 games.
Yeah.
And I think that means a lot. And I think it means a lot to both these programs.
Right.
It means something for Tennessee to have staying power, to have back-to-back. There's only a couple of teams, Shane, in the SEC that can go back-to-back 10-win seasons. Bama, Georgia, those are obvious. Ole Miss, and Tennessee. Those are the only ones. No one else can say they even have an opportunity to do that. But for Mizzou and company, I mean, winning 10 games, that would validate their program. Mm-hmm. Remember Drake? They were ready to run his ass off about 6 weeks ago. They forget that, but I didn't forget. But they're back. You know what?
Yeah.
Back and forth, Shane. Give me Tennessee 35. We got the same score. Tennessee 35. Mizzou 38. I like Mizzou to win at home. If this game's in Neyland Stadium, I'd flip it the other way.
I know.
But I don't think Tennessee's going to have any answer for Missouri's weapons. And I ain't buying all this bullshit. Luther Burden's hurt. He's hurt every week.
Yeah.
And he comes out and he balls out of control. Now, I do think he got pretty banged up against Georgia, and I think that's why he was largely ineffective in the second half. So maybe that lingers, but I think that if he was truly hurt, I think they would just keep it down low and they wouldn't update it, and they'd be very, very vague. I think Luther Burden plays.
I have really bad feelings about this one because exactly what you said, Mike. You know, it's like you feel like one team's going to win, but you may want another team to win. And, you know, I think that's where I'm at personally with this game, because I do see a scenario that Mizzou runs away with it. But I don't know, man. The way I don't know. I really feel like this game, it takes one mistake. Which one of these teams is gonna have to make a mistake? Is it Joe Milton,
right,
or is it somebody maybe in the backfield of Mizzou, or geez, I just don't know. Maybe Luther is banged up, you know, and then all of a sudden that team gets a little bit, you know, a little bit tighter, and so I don't know. I'll go round and round. It's not an easy place to win, but I feel like Tennessee finds a way to sneak one here. And
yeah, so let me ask you that, because that's kind of where I was going to go with this. What would surprise you more? Tennessee wins by a slim margin, Mizzou wins by a slim margin, or either one of them blows the other one out?
You know, it's funny that you say it that way. I feel like either Tennessee is going to win by a slight margin, or potentially Mizzou blows them out.
Really?
Yeah. I see a scenario. It's just like I said with this ball club. If Mizzou is hitting on all cylinders, they could have. I'm not saying they could have beat Georgia, but that was the best test for them. You know, they are right there in the mix if they're playing at 100%. But as soon as you start getting a little injury, as soon as you have a mistake, or more tapes out there too. So the same old is not working. You can't just throw back shoulder every single time. You know, teams are going to pick up on that. So what is the adjustments they make this weekend? There's an opportunity that Mizzou can run away with this thing. But then again, I don't know. I got faith in Heupel, man.
Yeah.
I don't think he's overlooking this team, but I think he's going to have some shit dialed up for him too.
Yeah. Well, you know what else I got faith in? The professor. So head on over to mybookie.ag today. Sign up for a new account. This is the number one way to help the podcast this football season. Sign up with that promo code THATSEC, THATSEC, over at mybookie.ag today. And they're willing to give our listeners an exclusive offer, $200 cash bonus over at MyBookie online sportsbook. Fade me, ride with the professor. He's red hot over at MyBookie, and we haven't even got to your lock yet, Shane. I'm dying. Are we getting close? I mean, I'm dying to see who this professor lock of the week is.
We'll see. Where you going? Where are you going this week?
This next, Shane, we're going Auburn.
Well, you just found it.
At Arkansas. Uh-oh. Arkansas Razorbacks finally getting off the losing streak last week. Auburn's won 2 in a row. But them Razorbacks, Shane, favored at home by 2.5 points. The over-under's 48 total points. This game kicks off at 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central on the SEC Network. Auburn leads the all-time series 19-14. But Arkansas won last year, Shane. But Auburn had won the previous 6 in a row. which was the longest in the series history until Arkansas won last season. So who you got in the ball game?
Oh, well, this one is the old lock. And there's something to say about momentum. There's something to say about a team pulling their straps up and just going out there and playing some damn football. And I feel like both these programs kind of fit that bill. Nobody's talking about Auburn. I mean, there's a handful of us. Nobody's out there bragging on Sam Pittman, what he did last week going down to Florida. That was big for us SEC homers, but your Joe Blow up there in South Carolina or Texas, they're not looking at that twice. They don't see it. But I see it, Mike. I see two programs that made a couple of mistakes early in the season. They're trying to correct it. They're trying to get right, and they've taken some big steps. Last week, what KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders put together down there in Gainesville was freaking impressive. They fired Enos. He's out. And then all of a sudden, the offense finds production. That's funny how that works, Mike. You fire somebody, you move forward. Auburn had no offense for the first 6 games of the season, it felt like. But all of a sudden, they're like, hey, I kind of like this downfield throwing. And Thorne actually looks like a decent quarterback. Brother, I go round and around on these types of games because, again, it's not ones they're not talking about it. You're not going to find this on ESPN. They're going to talk about the Georgia Ole Miss and maybe Tennessee Mizzou, but they ain't talking about this damn game, and they will be at the end of it. Because as fun as that run was down there in Gainesville, the buck stops this week, Mike. Uh-oh. Hugh Freeze reminds everybody that he is going bowling. He reminds everybody that, hey, here in a few weeks when Bama comes to town, you better put them on upset alert because Auburn's got one of the best defenses in the country, and their offense is starting to kick in a little bit. I'm telling you, Hunter right now is playing his best football. Hugh Freeze is dialed up. He's picking plays now. Can't get enough of it, and Auburn fans are loving it. So they're going to go up there, and they're going to beat the shit out of Arkansas. Give me Auburn 30, Arkansas 20.
Oh, no.
Lock it down, Professor.
I'm throwing up your damn
Oh, man. I've made a lot of money with Auburn. If you think about Professor, I picked on them a few times. And I'll tell you, I'm so confident, Mike, that if Auburn loses this game and Arkansas wins it, I think we should have us a little bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was trying to think, what can I do creative that's not physically tough right now, because I'm done. I'm out of the exercise department. So I'm thinking more of the consuming department. So have you ever seen them? I saw it the other day. Somebody sent me a picture, said, hey, what about this? It was some fish thing in a jar,
Right.
And I thought about that. And I was like, yeah, but how can we relate it to Arkansas? Pickled pig's feet. I think that's the nastiest damn thing I've ever seen in the grocery store, and I will eat one of those if Arkansas somehow pulls off a miracle here and beats Auburn Tigers.
Ooh, boy, pig's feet. Oh, my.
Dude, it's so nasty. Have you seen them?
You sent me. I didn't know what you were sending me, but I've seen them now. But, man, they are fired up in the comment section here, Shane. These Arkansas fans could not thank you enough for locking down. And remember, the professor... Yeah, he's won a couple here, but he's also on a losing streak. So
back on it.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, odds are statistically, glasses, no glasses. It's not looking too good for Auburn here, but I just feel like, I don't know. Like I said, I narrowed it down between a couple of games, but this one just kind of stood out to me. What has Auburn done that's wrong? They haven't played great opponents. I mean, that may be part of it.
That's the key to it right there.
Mississippi State, Vanderbilt last week, but they just looked so damn good during it. Maybe that's me. I'm buying into the hype as they steamroll the garbage programs, but I'm wrong, ain't I? Shit. Why am I wrong? What do you got? You got Arkansas winning by 30?
You're all about them Tigers, Shane, for whooping up on lowly Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, far and away the two worst teams in the SEC right now. I mean, if Vanderbilt cared about football, I don't even want to go there, but they'd probably have a different coach. Mississippi State's about to have a new coach because they care about football and they care about how far their program's fallen. So it's just so hard for me to take much stock into what Auburn's done the last 2 weeks. Now, that's not me just shitting on the program, but the fact, you do make a good point. Hugh Freeze in here calling plays. Yeah. It is working, so we'll hand him that. But at the same time, he's micromanaging, and we're talking, few games into his first season. He's already season control. I don't know. That doesn't look great to me. It still doesn't seem like they know what the hell they're doing with the quarterbacks. I know Peyton Thorne looked good against Mississippi State. Their pass defense is one of the worst parts of their team.
Yeah.
Peyton Thorne threw a really bad pick 6 against Vanderbilt, and they basically said, all right, we ain't throwing the ball no more. You just can't get away with stuff like that against Arkansas.
Right.
KJ's back to being KJ. Rocket Sanders back. People were doubting him, thinking he's throwing in on the year. And, man, they look like a team possessed. Uh-huh. Now, was Florida may have been smoke and mirrors, Shane. But if you're telling me beating Vanderbilt, beating Mississippi State, we're going on the road in the swamp where you've literally never won, where a team that had to get it to get to bowl eligibility, what's more impressive? Hell yeah, Arkansas. That's a hell of a lot more impressive. I like this Kenny. I don't even know how to say
Kenny G.
Kenny G, the offensive coordinator. He seems that you saw after that game, man. Those players love that guy, and I think he loves them too. So they're fighting for each other. You already know, man. I'm going Arkansas. Come on, Arkansas. But I think you're right. I think this is. Well, you're not right. But it could be a close game. Like, I don't think they're just going to blow the doors off Auburn because you're right. Auburn does have a very good defense.
Right.
And Jarquez Hunter's heating up.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he runs wild, you are 1,000% right. Yeah. Auburn wins this game. But I think that makes it a little simple. Not simple, but the path to victory is there for Arkansas. You just got to corral Jarquez Hunter in this running game, Battie as well. Slow them down. They cannot beat you through the air. I really don't. I don't think they got the weapons. I don't think they got the quarterback on the road. Them Hogs, man, they're back. They're back. They've been gone for 6 weeks. They're back in dimensions here. They're going crazy here. They're all aboard it. So I think Arkansas wins 27-23, and I cannot wait, Shane, for you to eat them pig's feet on this show.
Well, yeah, that Arkansas rush defense, the old steel curtain, what's their numbers, because you're right. Hunter has been warming up. There's something about Auburn quietly having a great season. They gave Ole Miss a run for their money. They gave Georgia a run for their money. A&M, there's 3 games that, if the cards went a little bit different, we may be talking about an 8-win team right now. So, and probably a top 25 program. And I'm not saying Auburn is a top 25, but the fact that Hugh Freeze has got them there in that mix is letting me know that, hey, nobody is an easy win or an easy loss on Auburn's schedule. So, I just like them. I think they're heating up at the right time.
Shane, the Arkansas fans are already making excuses for you. They're saying you're hungover on NyQuil. That's why you're not thinking logically here. So I get it. But last thing I got on this game, and we'll move on, Shane. What happened? And neither one of us is picking this, so I'm not saying this is likely. But what if Arkansas blows their doors off and they look really good on offense? Once I think 39 points against Florida, that's pretty damn good on the road in the SEC. They do something similar, 38, 40, whatever. If they blow their doors off, does Dan Enos ever get a job again?
No, he's gonna drift off for a few years. He probably should go to a different conference, kind of lay low.
Yep.
Maybe even sneak back into Bama, and get with Nick or one of those cats and just fetch coffee for a year or two, and who knows, he'll get another shot.
Okay. All right, how about this one, Shane? Florida,
at
number 19 LSU. LSU favored by 13.5 points. Sounds like I have not seen a latest update here, Shane, but it sounds like Jane Daniels is going to play for LSU. He's listed as probable, so that's very good, and that's according from the official LSU account. So he's more than likely going to play here.
Right.
LSU favored by 13.5 points at home. 63.5 is the over-under. 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central on the SEC Network. The all-time series tied at 33 apiece. LSU's won 4 in a row over Florida. They've never won 5 in a row. Last year they won in the Swamp 45-35. Who do you like in the game here, Shane?
Oh man, this is the patch we talked about, Mike. Last week, I think the reason a lot of Florida Gator fans were so upset was they were right there at bowl locking down, and you got Arkansas at home, black jerseys. You think, 4 weeks ago we would have said they're in. They're going to get that win, and then because they have to, because they've got LSU, they got Missouri, they've got Florida State. You know what I'm saying? They have got a rough road here. And I think they got kicked in the damn teeth last week, brother. And that carries a lot of weight with you. I don't know. I don't know if the locker room's coming apart. I'm not saying that, but I follow a lot of Florida fans, and I keep an eye on them,
Yeah.
I always keep an eye on them, especially after a tough loss like that. And a lot of them are upset. They're out on Billy again. And he can't win on the road. If we had South Carolina again, maybe, if we had a Mississippi State or a Vanderbilt on the road, yeah. But this is LSU Tigers, and your quarterback is a potential Heisman candidate, and he's playing. If he was not playing, I still think it would be damn close, and I would give LSU the edge. But the fact that Jaden's going to be out there, who's betting on this one? That's the reason it's a 14-point spread now. So LSU's just too much. And even if they are upset, even if they are a little hungover from last week's emotional loss, they are going to find a way to put up a shit ton of points on the Florida Gators, and the Gators ain't going to be able to keep up. Now, they'll be able to put points up too, because LSU obviously has no defense, but I like LSU to kind of run away with this one, brother. Give me 42, Florida Gators, 24.
Nima in the comments says, Cousin Shay needs to take Sunbelt Billy's advice.
Yeah.
Get some more sleep while you're sick.
Oh, that's a good advice.
But does it give you any concern, though? Because this has happened many times, Shane, where LSU, the season basically for LSU is Bama.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose to Bama, and then it beats you twice.
Mm-hmm.
That's where this, they say coach cliches and all this, but sometimes these cliches are true.
Yeah.
And it has gotten LSU many times right after it. They're a hurting team. Their quarterback's probable, so he's going to play. But I don't know. Does that give you any concern that maybe they're not going to be at? What are they playing for now?
Right.
I don't think the players really think that way, but I know a lot of the fans do. You can't win. They had an outside shot at the playoff. They had an outside shot at the West. All that's gone.
Right.
Does that concern you at all? Because you've got a pretty lopsided, so it doesn't sound like you are.
A little concerned, but again, I think when you look at this game, especially if you just look at the last 10 years, majority of them is a one-possession score. And there's been a lot of good LSU teams playing. There's been a lot of good Florida games. It's like it does not matter to that extent. Even the best year, you remember when Burrow was down there? That was a tight football game till the very end, and then they pulled away. So, you can't really rule out any team in this matchup because they always find a way. This is the infamous shoe toss, and there's going to be some crazy storylines following this game. Right now, where are you confidence level? I'm going with quarterback play, and I think LSU's got one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the country right now, and he's still got some stuff he wants to prove. I think last week, he was upset he wasn't able to finish it. We saw his parents down there.
Yep.
What do? You get out here, you get back on the horse, and you remind everybody how good you are. And I think that's what we see here. It's going to be a Daniel show. I do think he stays more in the pocket, maybe not as much running as he did with Alabama, but so much firepower on that side of the football.
Yeah, and to your point, Shane, LSU leads the country in pass efficiency and third down conversion rate. Mm-hmm. They're second in the nation in passing touchdowns and first downs total, and they're third in scoring.
Yeah.
And Brian Thomas, outstanding receiver, leads the country in touchdowns. Oh, and by the way, Malik Neighbors, he's number 2 in the country in touchdowns. Oh, and by the way, they're both top 4 in the SEC in receiving. They're freaks of nature here. But not to be outdone, Graham Mertz leads the SEC in completion percentage. And if you look at the efficiency numbers, Florida, number 24 pass offense. LSU, 119th pass defense. Florida, 53 rush offense, not great. But LSU, 116 rush defense.
Right.
So when Florida has the football, they should be at a major advantage in this matchup. And Billy Napier, say what you want about him, Shane.
Oh, I will.
He keeps these games close. I mean, he don't win many, but he keeps them close. You know what I mean? And I think this game's personal. Remember, he was at Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted this LSU job. His best season at Louisiana was right when Coach O got sent packing. He was campaigning on local radio down there why he'd be a great choice for that job. They didn't even consider him. Now, maybe because they had Brian Kelly in their back pocket. I don't know. But, I think it's a personal game to Brian Kelly, Shane. Unfortunately for him, LSU's won 10 consecutive night games in a row in Tiger Stadium, and he's 2-8 away from a swamp. So, yeah, give me LSU, but I don't think it's a blowout, Shane. I really do. I think it goes down to the wire. I don't know. I think there's going to be a letdown factor, but not so much. Your quarterback could have easily sat this one out.
Yeah.
I mean, he got destroyed, and he's up off the mat. He's doing everything he can to will you to victory. And if you come out flat, you got no respect for the best player in the country, and he's your best teammate. So I don't think LSU is going to come out flat. I just think Florida, I think they're going to play like everything's on the line, because I think it is. Because this may be their only shot at a win here.
Absolutely.
LSU 33, Florida 30. I'm telling you, I think it goes right down to the wire.
All right, man. Damn. That would be a hell of a matchup right there. I'd love to see it.
Yeah. All right, how about this one, Shane? Mississippi State at Texas A&M. Them Aggies favored by 18.5 points. The over-under is only 43, so it's about halfway to the over-under there. 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central on ESPN2. Mississippi State, though, leads the series 6-5 as SEC opponents. Most people don't realize that. Mississippi State's won 2 in a row, and they whooped their ass last year, 42-24. So it ain't like A&M owns this one.
No.
Who do you like in the matchup here, Shane?
I thought that was 7:30 a.m. Yeah, but it's p.m. I did get a night game here, Mike. I'm going to tell you right now, you fire Jimbo if he loses this one, because there's no reason he should.
Yep.
And I won't spend too much time on this game, but I will say this, brother. I expect A&M to come out and just play ball, man. Just move. I'm not expecting crazy plays here. I'm not expecting them to open up a playbook here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're going to keep the game plan simple here. Max has been banged up. Can't afford to get him hurt. Look for him to get the ball out. A lot more short stuff. Keep away. Both these teams are going to try to do that. So that's why it's going to be such a low-scoring game here. Mississippi State's in bad shape right now, and there's no reason the Aggies should have any question who's going to win this game. So Texas A&M, I've got 28. Mississippi State, 10. So I like the points.
Got right down to the point there.
I'd love to stretch this damn thing out, Mike, and I'm surprised we're talking about it so late in the show. But I just, short of A&M really just falling on a grenade here, this would be an ultimate win for Arnett and company to come down here. And I know you look at the record, and they've had a lot of, success in recent history against Texas A&M, but Aggies have never expected to lose this game, especially this year. And if that happens, Mike, by God, we got to have emergency podcast and be the first ones to talk about them firing Jimbo Fisher, because there's no reason they should lose this game.
Yeah, I can sum this one up pretty quick, Shane. Not even Jimbo could blow this one. You know what I mean? Max Johnson, he's another one. He's a warrior.
Yeah.
He's getting killed back here. But Mississippi State offensive line is, again, one of the weaker units in the SEC. Going up against this Texas A&M defensive front, they should have a field day with Mississippi State. It's at home. It's at night. Huge favorite for good reason. And hell, we just saw Auburn destroy Mississippi State, and we saw Kentucky, which is not even playing that well right now. They just completely embarrassed Mississippi State in Starkville, nonetheless. So, every matchup in this game, I think, favors Texas A&M. I think you're right. I would go even a bigger spread than you, Shane. I'm going Texas A&M 35, Mississippi State 10. And I'm not even confident Mississippi State getting that 10 on this Aggie defense. You know what?
Absolutely. Is Will Rogers, he's not playing, is he?
I don't believe so, but he's not officially been ruled out just yet.
No. That would be the only damn. Here we piled on him and said they can't do anything. All of a sudden, Will Rogers comes out and has a day.
He's never lost to him.
I know. I mean,
maybe his freshman year.
That would be a big one. That would be the only saving grace here. Is Will Rogers comes through that, and we piled on him all year long. Now we're like, please God, come back. Give us something.
All right, how about this, Shane? Game of the week here. Been waiting on this one. Number 9, Ole Miss at number 2, Georgia. Them Bulldogs, Shane, favored by 10.5 points at home. Mm-hmm. Over under 58 total points. Night game on ESPN, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. Whoa, what a good time here, brother. Georgia's won 24 in a row at home. They've won 26 in a row overall. How about this stat, Shane? This is unbelievable. It's senior day.
Yeah.
Georgia's senior class is 46-3.
Golly.
The only class that beats it, take a wild guess.
Ever in the SEC?
No, at Georgia.
Oh, at Georgia?
It's pretty easy. Just you don't have to think hard about it.
20 or the last year's?
Last year was 49-5 with 2 national championships. So this senior class has an opportunity to beat it. They just haven't played enough games just yet. So, just incredible numbers here from them Georgia Bulldogs. Who you like in the matchup here, Shane?
This is going to be a good game. And I've said that, I think 5 times today. But I feel like this one is going to come down to the wire. I love what Lane Kiffin's been doing with Ole Miss. The guys are getting healthy at the right time. The defense is doing just enough to keep them in these ball games. Georgia Bulldogs, they took a huge step last week with, again, I think a huge win with Mizzou. But I do think there was a little bit of exposure last weekend. They weren't able to play the conservative Georgia that Kirby wants to, get the lead, lean on the running game. He wasn't able to do that. They had to fight for 3, almost 4 quarters there. And I think that's important because so did Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. So there's a lot of tape on these guys. There's not going to be a lot of wrinkles, but this is such a big game. This is a game, if you ask Lane Kiffin, if you're looking at all of the schedule, what is the number 1 game you want? It was Alabama. Number 2 was Georgia. If he could knock off Kirby Smart, man, talk about a feather in his cap, because he likes patting himself on the back. He likes to let everybody know that he's potentially the best coach in the SEC. And Ole Miss has got a squad that could go in there to Athens and find a way to pull off an upset. I truly think that this game, Mike, is going to come down to the wire. And I know Brock's coming out. I know the seniors. It's going to be hyped. It's going to be loud. It's going to be at night, which I think plays a little bit more favorite for them Georgia Bulldogs, because that Georgia Stadium is not like it was 10 years ago. Mike, Georgia has had a lot of success, but this crowd, it's like they got rid of the old people or something, and they said, hey, if you ain't going to yell, don't come in here. Just stay there at the house and watch this thing. This next generation of Georgia fans has made Athens just a hub, and will always be on one of those lists of toughest places to play, because it truly is. And I think that is going to be the factor, man. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's going to come down to the fans. And if they come rocking and they get these guys off their A game, Ole Miss is going to drop this one. So it's going to be tight. I think this comes down to the very last quarter. But I've got Georgia Bulldogs winning 31, Ole Miss 28. Wow. Fantastic football game, Mike. And a real shot here. I'm still, as a Vol fan, I'm going to be glued to this game as well, especially if they find a way to beat Missouri, turn this thing on, because miracles happen. Miracles happen every day. And we're going to need it. The stars align. Yeah. But this would be huge for Ole Miss fans. This would be huge for Vol fans, potentially. I mean, it's going to be awesome.
Could this be the upset we've been waiting for in the SEC? Every week. But it's going to happen eventually.
25 games now, Georgia. We've been saying this could be the time the streak ends.
Ollie just chimed in, Shane. He said he'll ship you another bottle of bourbon if you pick Bama with that elusive double lock.
Oh, man. He's
But,
got some good stuff, too.
I think I like a lot of what you had to say, Shane. How about this, Shane? Ole Miss outscoring teams in the first quarter, 117-38. That's big. That's like Josh Heupel jumping on people. And then how about in the fourth quarter? Because it's not just they just come out and jump on you and they don't do anything. Fourth quarter, when it matters most, they're outscoring teams 103-44.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me that the tempo, Jackson Dart's running it efficiently, and they're jumping on people, and they're staying on them. They're wearing them down in the fourth quarter. Judkins leads the SEC, like I said, 12 rushing. I think he has a big day.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people nationally don't know the name Trey Harris yet. They're going to know it on Saturday.
Right.
Casual fans that don't follow SEC like we do. But he is elite. And I don't know if Georgia can shut him down. They'll be able to contain him, but that's the thing with Ole Miss, Shane. They got so many weapons. You can try to stop this, they'll hit you with that. And they just go so damn fast that even though Georgia's got way better talent than Ole Miss, the tempo neutralizes that.
Right.
And a little unknown secret about Georgia this year, Shane, they're not dominant stopping the run.
Right.
Now, they're very good. I'm not sitting here saying they're awful or anything, but they're not the elite Georgia that we're used to against the run. So I think Ole Miss is going to have some success here. Jackson Dart's playing some good football. I mean, this is an elite showdown, Shane. This, right now in my power rankings, this is number 1 versus number 2, Georgia and Ole Miss. I think it's
good.
I think these are the two best teams in the SEC right now.
Yeah.
Now, being in Athens, in night, that's probably going to be a little bit, that may be the difference maker.
Right.
Brock Bowers coming back, that's going to energize the team. And we don't know that for sure. So that's me kind of speculating. But Carson Beck can't rule. I mean, he's on fire too. He's playing as well as any quarterback. Throwing the football in the SEC. I can't pick this one, Shane. You know what?
You got to.
Do I have to?
You have to. It's not like me and Mizzou.
Now the spread's 10.5.
Yeah.
I'm locking this one down, Shane.
Oh, shit. That's right. You haven't used your lock yet.
I'm using it right here, Shane. Ole Miss, 27.
Oh, it's too low.
Georgia, 25. And then they kick a field goal to win 28-27 as time expires. I think it's a 3-point game. Georgia slides by, but a 1-point game.
Wow.
I'm locking it up because I don't got the guts. I pick, they say I pick against Georgia every week. I haven't picked against them this year, but I think the last time I picked against them was that Tennessee game, and that did pretty bad for me. So I don't pick against Georgia these days, but everything's telling me to pick Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I think there's an outstanding shot they win this football game. They got nothing to lose. This is their playoff opportunity. You've not heard any of the rumblings from Kiffin. He's got all the respect in the world for Kirby. He's got respect for this program. He doesn't want to give him any ammunition.
Right.
Little old Ole Miss. No one's going to be picking us. We don't got a shot in hell. That's what they want people thinking. We're not eliminated yet, but we're basically eliminated. We got nothing to lose. We lose by 100 points. That's what they expect us to do. Let's go in here, shock the world. I think this is the game of the day in the SEC. I really do.
I think you're right. I think part of it is just what you said. The game doesn't seem as big as that Florida game. That Florida game was getting a lot of hype, just out of the blue. The Missouri game was getting a lot of hype. Ole Miss, I'm not saying is not getting the hype, but like you said, you're not getting the Lane Kiffin of Texas A&M, the Lane Kiffin of Alabama, saying all this, giving them, like you said, that ammunition, because Kirby is a master at finding. He's going to find somebody out there. There's going to be some sucker, some fat guy on the podcast that says there's a shot that Georgia loses, and he plasters it down there. And he's probably right. He's probably going to find that. But this game, I don't know, man. It's this one. I want to predict upsets. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a handful of games. If you'll notice, the Alabama-Kentucky game, I think there's an opportunity for an upset.
Mm-hmm.
This game, there's an opportunity for an upset. You can even argue maybe LSU-Florida, because that games are always tied. So let me ask you on those three. Let's just do a quick one here. From most likely to least likely, because all three of these teams have a double-digit spread coming into Saturday, right? No, Ole Miss is
now,
what?
which
8?
games are you talking about here?
So, Ole Miss and Georgia,
right?
What is it?
10.5.
10.5. Alabama and Kentucky is 10.5 or 11.
It's 11. 11.
And then LSU and Florida is 14.
Right.
So if you had to pick underdog, most likely to pull off an upset to least likely, power rank those three for me real quick. I'll give you my list when you're done.
Kentucky, least likely.
Okay.
Ole Miss, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
And then Florida in the middle.
Okay, I'm going Ole Miss, most likely.
Most likely.
Kentucky, second, and I think Florida, third. But I think it happens, man. I think one of these teams loses. I don't know which one it's going to be, but that's coming into this weekend. It just feels like we're due. We're overdue for some big upset, and it's going to be one of those 3 games.
We kid that because we do. We say every damn week,
yeah,
we're doing upset. When's this upset? We never get any of these damn upsets. Let me throw this one at you because we've been waiting and 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 waiting. What if they all lose?
Oof.
I mean, maybe that's what we're waiting for. You know what I mean? Like,
just burn it all
upsets
down.
Have to happen eventually,
Yeah.
and they haven't happened. So imagine if they all get upset.
Yeah.
I mean, how wild would that be?
No one keeps a streak forever. We talk about some of the great Oklahoma teams. Well, they went through dark days.
Right.
We talk about some of the best Texas games. They went through dark days. Nebraska, look at them, They all have their fall at some point. And, we keep saying it like with Georgia, like they can't, can they? Can they? How long can they keep this thing going? You know what I'm saying? It's like forever. I'm not ready for that. I didn't sign up for perfection every year, even though I'm kind of back on the Georgia bandwagon here, but I didn't sign up for that. Somebody else has got to take the reins for a little bit. And I think, every weekend we look for some of these teams to get humanized. Alabama did it at the start of the season. Georgia did it during a couple of games this year. There was moments where they just didn't seem like a juggernaut like they have in the past. But these big games, they go out there, they put their hard hat on, and they go to work, and they do what they're supposed to.
Yeah.
We don't have the upsets. It's almost like you're expecting an upset from a team you weren't expecting an upset from. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, man. But something about this weekend feels like we could have some upsets.
And the only reason now I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm daydreaming that I want it to happen, because I want Georgia at Tennessee. Yeah. I want that to be the Battle of the East. I want to go in a rivalry weekend in the Egg Bowl and the Iron Bowl to decide the West. It's very unlikely, but we're just 2 upsets away from that being a reality. So, if nothing else, if you got no stake in any of these games, maybe root for Kentucky.
Yeah.
Maybe root for Ole Miss, and we'll get one hell of an end to the regular season.
That'd be good. Yeah, because Georgia's not out if they lose.
No,
Alabama's not out if they lose.
Nope.
They still need some miracles to fall their way.
Right.
But then Ole Miss plays with a little extra, gusto, and Auburn, you talk about the ultimate feather in your cap, coming in first year head coach, winning the Iron Bowl down in Jordan-Hare. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Jeez. Hugh Breeze is going to have to go on like lockdown, with the AD. He can't leave the room. Can't celebrate that night. You ain't leaving his side no matter what. So I'm looking forward to it, brother. I'm looking forward to a great weekend of college football action.
Yeah. Anything else before we close out the show here?
No, my medicine's wearing off. I think I better
go. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you as always. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, especially those on the live stream. But enjoy the games this weekend. Be on the lookout Saturday night for I don't even know what I call it. I used to call it power rankings, but all everybody wants to talk about is the games that happen. So I just call it initial reaction / power rankings show. Will be Saturday. And then if there's emergency podcasts, be on the lookout for those.
Power Hour. That's what we should call it.
Power Hour. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
there you
that.
go. So be on the lookout for that Saturday, and then we'll see you back on Sunday for another live show. But we appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See you guys. Go Vols.